So you all need to come through and say, okay, there we go. Welcome in to Thursday morning's recovery class. So welcome to the group. It's lovely to have everyone here, and well done for showing up, particularly on a very hot day. I'm just making an assumption that it's hot for everyone. I think it pretty much is around the UK. I think everyone's nodding. There's a lot of nodding going on. Okay, good. That's good. It doesn't make me feel so bad that it's so nice here. If you are brand new to class, you're following me on level 1. It doesn't really matter where you're at in your recovery or your energy levels. You come in and we sneak right down to the baseline, and then we build from there. Okay, so level 1ers, you do the bare minimum. If you're coming out of a relapse or you're managing your energy like the brilliant Rebecca is, then you are also on level 1. It doesn't matter if you need to go up and down levels a few times. That's all part of it, okay? You will need a cushion or two, some kind of belt, like a dressing gown belt, a yoga belt, or something that you can put around your foot for a bit of a stretch, and some water so that you don't get too dehydrated, okay? So make sure you have all of those things to hand. The first part of our class, as I think you all know, is the reconditioning, the little bit of strengthening stuff so that when we get to be more active, we haven't lost all of our muscle strength. Ross is going to be talking us through, and then we'll do yoga. All right, so you get to see me. Ross is the voice in the background, like the Wizard of Oz.
Here I am. Good morning, everybody. All right, so we're going to start on our mats. Make sure you've got all the equipment you need, and some water is a very good idea as well. Okay, so we're all going to lie on our backs as Suzy is doing. So if you follow along with Suzy, if you're level 1, she's going to be doing the level 1 exercises with you. Level 2, level 3. Guys, you may need some extra equipment. You probably have it to hand, I'm sure. So bands and weights, etc. We're going to start with bridge, of course we are, and we're going to have those hands down by the hips, and we're going to be pressing those hands into the floor as we lift those hips off the mat nice and gently. And then slowly lowering them back down again.
So if you're really wanting to manage your energy and you're a little bit worried about class, maybe this is your first time, just do 1. 1 is good, okay? If you want to do the level 1 quota with me, you can do up to 4, but I would say if this is your first time, just stick with maybe 2 and then come to a rest. We've got about 6 or 7 exercises that we will work through before we get to yoga. So you'll do little bits of each, but each time we come down to this rest. Just remind level 2ers, level 3s, how many reps is their max or working towards?
So yeah, level 2, you're 8 reps max, and level 3, 10 reps max.
But if there's any exercise that doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good, you just skip it, okay? And if you just want to watch us, you can just watch.
Okay, everybody is done now. So we're going to move on to the next exercise, which is going to be for upper body. We are going to do figure 8s. You can do this with weights if you're level 2 or 3. Level 1, we're just going to use our hands, no weights needed. We're going to bring those hands up in front of us, so still lying on our backs, but in line with the chest. And we're just making kind of a figure 8 pattern or infinity pattern on its side. So slowly bringing those hands down together, circling around, crossing the chest at that midway point. Great. So this is quite tiring because it is with the arms. So make sure if you're level 1, you're only doing a couple of these. That's not, you don't need to do many more than that to really feel this.
I find it quite relaxing on some days, and on other days I really feel the work in my core that it brings me. So it's quite a strange exercise.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're not feeling very strong, I think you feel it much more as an exercise that is draining the battery. But if you're feeling a little bit stronger, it can feel quite soothing. that kind of floating arms around.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I like this one. Okay.
Obviously, if you're holding a pair of 2.5 kg weights, it's a little less soothing and more work.
Much harder on those arms and core and chest.
Yeah.
Great, everyone. Really good. Okay. Make sure you're allowing some time to rest as well. Even if you're level 3, we do want a rest period between these exercises. We're going to go to legs next, and we're going to go with leg lift. So if you're level 1, you can use a cushion here just behind the knees. Is a good idea, I think. Level 2 and 3, you can use a resistance band for this one if you wish. Okay. So level 1, we're going to stay down on our backs and resting on either a pillow or, if it's comfortable, head on the floor. Level 2, 3, we're up on our elbows if it's comfortable. Lifting that leg nice and easy. Just a little point and flex of the foot, and we place it back down and go to the other side. As Suzy is beautifully demonstrating.
We keep our leg on the cushion. We're just engaging that quadricep muscle. But level 2, level 3, they lift their leg up in the air, which makes it a little bit harder again. I think I've done 2 each side, and that's me done. Level 1, if you're with me, we have stopped.
Great, everyone. Okay. If you're still working, then let's make these the last few reps that we do. And then we can just rest down for a moment before we go to the next one. Okay. So with our figure of 8 that we did before, that's really working the shoulders, the chest. So what we're going to do is go straight to half bug next, which is for shoulders, hip flexors, core as well. You can use weights here if you're level 2 or 3. Remember, it's up to you. And if you are level 2 or 3, you can have your legs just straight out. If you're level 1, it's much a better idea to have those legs bent, as Suzy is showing us here. So the arms are up over the head. As they come down, you're just going to lift that knee to meet them. Hands go back up over the head, come down again, and we just raise that other side, the other knee. Great, so don't go too fast with this one. We're going to go nice and slow. The slower you go, the more you're actually going to feel it in those abdominal muscles.
I feel it more in my arms.
Yeah.
Anything else, I think. And that's without weights.
Yeah, sure. So it is shoulder heavy, especially when the arms are straight. It does make it quite intense on those shoulders.
Coming down to rest as soon as you've done. Thinking about how you're breathing, remember?
Great, if you're still working, let's make these the last few. Okay. So we'll do our quadrology in a moment. Before that, we're going to just do one more for legs. And I think we should do butterfly today, which is a very similar one to bridge. It's just a little bit more intensive. So instead of having the feet flat on the mat, we're actually going to bring those soles of the feet together, as Suzy's doing here. So the knees go a bit wider, as long as that's comfortable for you guys. And we're going to just lift those hips up off the mat again. So you're going to feel this in the glutes, in those hamstrings, maybe a little bit in the thigh as well. It's quite an intense exercise, so don't feel like you have to do many of these. If you're level 1, maybe just 1 rep is enough.
It's quite a tricky one to do with the resistance band on. I think you lose some of the work if you've got your resistance band on, so I can see some people trying it. I would say take it off, or just slide it down to your ankles and then have another go. You're going to get more work in the glutes. without.
Yeah.
Did it give you a bit of a cramp, Kat? I think it did.
Yeah, I get that sometimes as well. This is like my clamshell. This too.
Your nemesis pose. Everyone has one that they hate, right?
Yeah. Good. Okay, so making sure you're just having some time to rest, guys, whatever level you are. We are going to be coming up to a seated position now, or a kneeling position. So make sure you've got something that you can just support yourself with. A couple of cushions or bolsters, ideal.
Group drink moment.
Good idea.
We should make a point of putting electrolytes, and I bet some of you have, in our water here, especially on warmer days. There we go. Okay.
That's a good idea. Really good idea.
We're doing the quadrology, right?
You certainly are. So yeah, if you're level 2 or 3, remember you can use weights for this one. Level 1, we're just going to use the weight of our own arms here. So we're going to just all get into position. Take your time.
Make sure your knees are comfortable. So as much cushion or support underneath your bottom as you need to, even if you've got 3 or 4 cushions, okay? And if it doesn't work, sit cross-legged.
Got a good message here from Rebecca to everyone. I've discovered a sleeping bag in its bag makes a great bolster. Ha ha ha. There you go.
Nice, I see that. Yeah, that's good. Well done. Especially if it's one of those really good, thick sleeping bags, right?
That's it. 4 seasons only, right? Okay. We are going to go with the first movement, which is straight arms up in front of us, coming up to that shoulder level, dropping those hands back down nice and slowly under control, lifting the hands up under the armpits, and then dropping them down nice and under control as well on that downward movement. Back behind now, so feeling it in the triceps, down by the sides. We're going to lift them up again. This time we're going to turn those hands and press up over the head, nice and easy, keeping the core nice and tight. Great. If you're level 1, that may well be enough for you, and you can rest down if you wish.
I'm going to demo it once more, just so that people who like to have something to follow can follow. I love this part of it because you feel all the muscles that run down the spine, the erector muscles, really engaging. And there's something nice about feeling the muscles in your back being strong, like doing their job. There's something really pleasing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought I'd share that with you. I'm going to come into my favorite resting pose, which is supported child's pose. For some people, this isn't so good on your knees, but I think most people are okay. It works particularly well if you do have a really good sort of chunky set of pillows or bolster. Debbie G, that is the perfect pace. You are beautifully slow. She's doing really well.
He knows.
It's good. So if you're down in child's pose already, I want you to focus on breathing into the back of the body, breathing into the back ribs. If you're not in child's pose, come down into some kind of resting pose where you can access that back lower part of your rib cage with the breath. It's a little less easy to do sitting upright because the core muscles are engaged in holding you up.
Great. For those of you still working, let's make this the last sequence. Okay, those arms on. So we're going to go back to legs for this next one. If you want to, if you're level 2 or 3, you can use your resistance band for this one. We're going to go with donkey kicks again. This one is lifting the heel up behind us, just trying to raise it up to the ceiling. We're going to alternate the legs each time.
So I'm going to push the heel up. Think of lifting the heel rather than the leg, and it helps you put the leg in the right position. And lower down. Lift the heel and lower down. So level 1, you might be thinking, that's enough for me. I'm going to do 1 more each side. And lower down. We are not here to get you out of breath. We are not here to fatigue you, okay? We are sneaking under all of those little barriers and doing it really gently with respect for your body. I read a very shocking post yesterday of someone that had tried their first Nuffield health rehab. Now, I think these seem to be very varied across the country according to what they offer people. But he said that they made him do a 20-minute cardio session in his first appointment, which caused me huge concern that that was being offered. And he was bright red and sweaty. And he made a post about, was this supposed to be what he was feeling? And my response was, no. I was very worried about him.
Yeah, that sounds like way too much. But...
Yeah.
Tell him to join in with us next time, huh?
Well, I know. It's worrying that there's people still out there being pushed like that to their extremes.
Okay. If you're still working, Debbie G, let's make these the last few. You're doing great, by the way. And we will have a little rest before we go to the next one. We're going to go with one for the back of the body. We didn't do this on Tuesday, so we're going to put it in today. So it is long, just face down, legs nice and straight out. And our hands are going to be just placed just up by the head. We're going to have one ear to the ground, left or right, it does not matter. We're going to be turning the head. So remember, level 1, what we're trying to do here is lift the head up and turn and just place it back down again, just to the other ear. And that's all we're going to be doing, just working the top muscles of the back. Level 2, we're going to lift the hands at the same time. So head and hands come up. We turn that head and place it down nice and gently. Level 3, we're going to lift the hands, the head, and the feet up off the mat as well.
Not just the feet, but the legs.
Yeah.
Because I could do that, right?
This is true.
So level 1, as if you've been joining in as I demonstrated, you've done enough already, in which case you can just lie here and rest. Again, I'm just focusing on breathing slowly in, slowly out.
Rebecca, can you see Suzy now? I have highlighted Suzy for everyone, so hopefully you can see her.
I can see Rebecca.
Okay, well, this is going to be the last exercise we do before the yoga element. So it's going to be the one where you go on hands and knees, all fours. We're going to go with opposition stretch. If this is your first time in class, or if you're level 1 and you're feeling quite fatigued today, then obviously just you can rest where you are. You don't have to do this last one if you don't feel like it. We're going to go with right arm in front of us as the left leg goes back. Try not to lift the legs too high or you will topple over. And for level 1, we're just going to alternate those. those sides. If you're level 2 or 3, remember you can put in a press up here if you wish, or just a half press up.
Level 1s, we are not doing the little press up. That was just for demonstration purposes only. So I've done 2 of these each side as level 1s. Because it's a full body exercise, it is a good idea to come to a resting pose after a couple. Even if you think, I don't want to rest, rest. It's about the messages that we're giving the brain. And that's the key to this kind of work. We're telling the brain, it's okay. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that will make you start symptoms of fatigue, brain fog, whatever else gets kicked off for you when you do too much. Most of us, and I put my hand up to this as too, and I know that Ross, you're the same. We weren't very good at resting before we got COVID. Rest was something that you did when you were asleep. And I think this journey has taught us a lot about the importance of mental and physical rest on our well-being, on our immune systems, and how the brain interacts with it when we are unwell, and the importance of it in convalescence. It's a very underestimated superpower. You can rest. Okay. Has everyone stopped for us?
I do believe so. I'm just going to double check the other screen, see if anyone's still working. No, everyone is resting.
Great. Okay. We're going to start today's yoga bit by sitting upright. So we're going to sit cross legs. We're going to do a little sequence with our hips and shoulders. So I want you to sit on a cushion or on a yoga block if you have one. And just have some support under your knees if that feels good. And have your yoga belt near to hand, or a belt of some description, so that you don't need to reach for it when we need it. And as I try and explain every now and then, I do a lot of repetition in this class, so that, and in fact, we both do a lot of repetition, so the brain isn't having to be engaged in learning something new each time you come in, because that's also draining the cognitive battery, yeah? And it also means that if you're sitting at home and you think, oh, I just need to do a little bit to release by myself, then you've got a sort of an imprint of what you might do, because you're repeating it regularly. So we try to keep it a little bit interesting by adding new bits every now and then, but not too often. There's deliberate reason behind that. Okay. I'm just sitting to start with, and I'm going to sit and stretch my spine up. I'm going to let the shoulders drop down. I'm going to take a really slow breath in through my nose. Just fill the lungs up and sigh that breath out. Take a couple of regular breaths. And then let's do that again. Take a slow breath in. Take a moment, a pause, and breathe it out. Okay. So I'm going to put my right hand down to the side of me, and let's take a side stretch. Breathing in, lift. Bring that arm right the way by the side of the head if you can. Good. And breathing out as you bring that arm all the way back down. Come to a settled position. Breathe. I'm going to take a twist now. So I'm taking my left hand across the body. I'm going to take the other one around behind me. Fingertips touch down. And gently turn to the side. Now you'll feel a little bit of a squeeze down into the abdomen. That's good. Let's send the breath down there. Inhale. And exhale, bring it gently back to center. I'm going to turn my chest to face my right leg. One hand either side on the floor, just lean forwards. We're going to ease into that lower back, middle back stretch. Let the head drop down. Slow inhale, slow exhale. And slowly, gently, come on up. Take a moment, be back aligned. Just let the head be level. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to take Garudasana arm, so right elbow crosses over the left. Lift those elbows up a little bit. Don't worry if you can not get the hands to touch, just the backs of the hands moving towards each other is fine. I'm going to drop my chin. Let's take a breath in. And release down. Hands come back to rest. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to take my left arm up and over the side of my head, and I'm going to draw my left ear down to the shoulder, taking that stretch down the right hand side of my neck. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, so just do as much or as little as feels right. Breathing in, breathing out. And release, bring the neck back, the head back, the arm down. I'm just going to turn, release one way to center, release the other way to center, drop the chin down to center. I'm going to put my hands behind me, lean back, push into the hands and lift the chest up, keep the chin down. And just open up the front of the ribs, squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. And breathing in and opening up the chest. Inhale. And exhale, bring the hands back. And those hands come in front. We're just going to walk them forwards, easing into the lower back, the knees, the hips. If anything doesn't feel so good, don't do it. Don't go deep. We're just inviting the body to release. Let the head drop down slowly. Again, breathe into the back ribs, create space. And if you're not doing the forward bend, just do the breathing. Okay, when you're ready, gently, slowly come on up. Good. I'm going to straighten out my legs. Straighten them out. Give them a little shake down. We're going to bring the other leg in front. So I've now got my left leg in front and my right leg behind. Again, support under those knees. So I do this deliberately so that my legs are much more comfortable. If you haven't done that yet and you're not 100% comfortable, I can highly recommend. Okay. So first thing, just settle, find a still point. Okay. I'm going to take my left hand down to I'm working in opposition to you. It's challenging for my brain. I'm going to lift the arm up and take that stretch. Breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Bring it all the way back. Let the hands rest. Slow inhale. Slow exhale. I'm going to take a twist. The hand comes across the body. We're going to take this one around behind. The left comes around behind. And turn and look over that back shoulder. Keep the body upright if you can. That's it. Breathing down. Excuse me, into the tummy. And bring it back to center. Take a stillness. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. I'm going to turn my chest to face my left leg. Hands either side. Inhale. Exhale, ease down. Head comes down. Slow inhale, slow exhale. And gently, slowly lifting back up. Let the hands rest. Align the spine. I'm going to bring the arms up in front of me and take the left over the right. Drop the chin. Deep breath in. And release the arms down. Let the hands rest. Turning the head one way to center. The other way to center. We're going to lift the chin up this time. Look up. Stretch up across the throat. To center. Drop the chin down. To center. Hands go behind. I love that you do that with me. I don't know why I have to show you my hands. I think we all know where they are. Here's your hands. We're going to put them behind. The hands are behind. We're going to squeeze the ribs open, the shoulder blades together. Hold it here, breathing. Fill and expand the front chest. And push into the hands, come back. Hands go forwards. Walking them forwards just into as much or as little of a forward bend as feels right for you. Let the head go. And gently lifting the head, come on up to being upright. Okay. I'm just going to remove my cushions, but I'm going to stay sitting on the block. I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see a little bit more. We're going to do a little bit of release for the lower back and hips before we come down into our relaxation. And actually, I'm going to make my life nice and easy. I've got a cushion underneath the left knee, so that leg isn't being asked to work straight, and I'm sitting on a cushion. And I'm going to roll out the right knee and bring the foot up to the groin, and the knee is bent. So if your knee doesn't like being in this position, what you can do is put support as much as needs be, so that you're lifting that knee right up in the air. Only if the knee is not happy, okay? I am taking my belt. I'm going to hook it around the end of that foot. And again, we're not working here the way we would in a normal yoga class, okay? The goal is not to really increase our flexibility. The goal is just to invite the body to release a bit of tension. So let's take a breath in. And exhale, slowly just walk forward. So you can either stay with the belt, or if you can catch the foot, catch it. Or if the hands on the floor is more comfortable, work there. But we're just working into that forward bend a little bit. You've got the straight leg bent, and I want you to let the head come down. And with the head down, really focus on relaxing the muscles in the face. Slow inhale, slow exhale. That's it. Don't worry if you don't get too far. Good. And when you're ready, let's gently, slowly come on up to being upright. I'm going to straighten and just change the support around. I'm going to do the second side. So I've got the cushion under the right knee now and I'm rolling out the left. Again, support that knee if you need to. The belt around the foot just helps us kind of stretch and straighten up to start with. That's it. Inhale. Exhale, walk the hands down. Either to the foot, staying with the belt, or hands to the mat. And just let the upper body release. Head hangs down, muscle in the face soft. Slow inhale, slow exhale. So working slowly, working gently, not pushing. It's all telling the body, I am safe. And that is the goal with this kind of work. Because then your vagus nerve starts to reactivate and retones. So the signals come back up into the brain. You can repair. When you're ready, gently, slowly lift back up. Okay. Stuff out the way. I'm coming down onto my back. We're going to do a little twist. So it's the reclining twist. You'll have your bolster or a couple of cushions or pillows, and you'll have something for under your head. Okay? So get comfortable. You're lying on your side. Now, if you're very tight in the shoulder and upper back area, I would recommend putting some kind of pillow or cushion behind you, so when you take your arm out to the side, you've got something to rest it on, okay? You'll know what I mean when we get there. Make sure this height is high. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath in. As you exhale, I'm going to draw that top arm across my body, open it out wide, and just open my arms up to the ceiling. Slow inhale, slow exhale. So you're either resting that back arm down on the floor, or you've got it on some support. Whatever feels right for you. Let's take a slow breath down into the abdomen. And as you exhale, we're going to bend that back arm and roll back onto our side. Good. No surprises. We're rolling over the back of the body. We're going to take the cushion with us. And we're going to do the second side. Okay. So when you're ready, exactly the same thing. Slow breath in. And exhale, draw the arm out and across. Breathing down into the abdomen. Forehead soft, jaw relaxed. So just searching for any areas of tension. And letting them go. Let's take a slow breath in. And as you exhale, I'm going to bend that back arm and roll back onto my side. Okay. From here, all we're going to do is come into a position that's comfortable for you to do your relaxation in. So it might be that staying on your side in that recovery position is good. It might be that lying on your back is preferred. Put something under your knees if you're on your back, so the lower back doesn't have to work too flat down to the floor. And the abdomen can soften and relax, which is perfect for the breath. Okay, so whatever you're doing, get comfortable. We have a little look. Remember, if you need a little drink of water before you come into this, then Do take a sip. Okay. So we're lying down. The back of the head is heavy, or the side if you're on your side. The eyelids have drawn down, closed. And we're focusing on letting go, surrendering down, just for a few minutes of peace and calm. I want the breath to be your focus. Slow inhale, long exhale. This slow breath is one that I want you to not just think about now in class, but at different points throughout your day. Jaw relaxed, tongue soft. And we're allowing the whole of the back of the body to sink down a little deeper into the floor. With every exhale, we're letting go of any tension, any anxiety, just breathing it out. And instead, we're focusing the mind on feeling comfortable, secure, safe, calm, and gratitude, a moment of gratitude for being here, practicing with all of us, people that understand. Okay. So if you're going to stick around for the group discussion, the chat, the Q&A, I will slowly come up and out of our relaxation now. If you want to stay in your rest, then all you need to do is either take the volume down or log out from class. If you're coming with me, let's take a deep breath in. And gently wake up the body, moving the fingers, moving the toes. And we'll roll completely over onto our side. And from our side, very slowly, push yourself to a sitting upright position. And last week, I didn't close the class with my lovely hand through Karma Yoga. Well, let's do it together today. So hands together by heart center for a moment. Just take a moment to notice how you feel. And let's bring those hands up to the forehead for right thought. Bring them to the mouth for right word. And bring them back to the heart for right action. Namaste. Good. Well done. So, everyone, I'm just reminding you the session is being recorded. So the group chat is all part of that too. So make sure you're happy with having your voice heard. This is a really, really useful and helpful discussion, especially if we have a range of people that stick around, because questions and answers are, put out to the hive mind rather than just Ross and I. And people, I think, are really getting the support and benefit from hearing other people's stories and the things that they've tried. So I'm going to remove spotlight from me. A good way for it to work, because we've got more than one screen of you here, is if you have a question you would like to ask or something you want some information around or an update for us, put it into the chat box. But if that's too tiring for you, just go into your reactions button and wave, press a kind of waving hand button. I'll show you what I mean. One of those, ta-da! Or there's another one, I think you can do it somewhere, but anyway, that's the one that I find. So if anyone has anything that they would like, oh, there we go, some questions are pinging in. Can I ask a question about PPI? Fiona, share away. What would you like to ask?
Mute myself. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I just wondered, lots of my symptoms are dialing down, which is wonderful, but I've been on PPIs now since last August.
Do you want to just explain what they are for everyone?
It's a proton pump inhibitor, and it's basically to inhibit stomach acid.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I had terrible pain and stomach acid after my initial infection. So they put me on them last August, and I thought I'd quite like, I'm not on many medications. I don't like being on medications. So I thought I'd like to come off them. And I tried to come off them twice, and it's just horrific pain. And the stomach acid is, I can't eat anything without being in pain, burning. And I'm trying my best to follow an anti-inflammatory diet. I've tried all the natural remedies, I drink ginger tea, I do everything I can, but I just wondered if anyone else has had that problem and how if they've managed to overcome it, even to some extent, because if you stay on them, they're not great. They have
Sure.
long-term effects. So
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm a bit worried about that. Yeah.
Can you, if anyone has had similar gastro issues and pain, I mean, this sounds like it's real pain for you, Fiona. If anyone else has had that, Alison, you've just waved your hand and I can see you right in front of me. What would you like?
Yeah, I was put on PPI as well. What I've done is kind of alternate my days. So some days I won't have one at night at all, and I can sleep fine and it's okay. But I make sure I'm more sleeping kind of at an angle. Yeah. And sometimes, depending again what I've eaten and how late I've eaten, I might have to take 2 tablets at night. So I'm really trying to kind of try and see. Similarly to Jennifer, I don't want to be on it for long because I am taking lots of other things. But if I need it, I take it. I think that's my feeling at the moment. There's definitely times I don't have to take it. So I've had about 15 months now I've had long COVID, so it's a time thing. Same with all the symptoms.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alison.
Yeah, I'd gotten to that sort of 1.5 stage, and I thought I've been on this for coming up for a year now. And I thought, well, I think that's what they mean by long-term use. But maybe, I might try to, I take it every morning, have been taking it every morning. So I think I might try to.
Has anyone, I can see a couple of hands are raised. Tam and Jennifer, I don't know if your hands are raised about this particular subject. No, says Tam. I can't see Jennifer, she's somewhere else. But has anyone tried anything non-pharmaceutical based to help with this kind of pain, this kind of issue? Has anyone? Just unmute yourself if you have. Natalie, did you just put your hand up there? Hi.
So I'm the same. My main issues were all gastro. I did have an underlying Helicobacter pylori infection in my stomach, so obviously it's different. But I tried to completely come off the PPIs after antibiotics. I was with a dietitian on the NHS. And yeah, I did all the anti-inflammatory, anti-acid, and the main thing that helped me was consistent probiotics, cutting out dairy. I'm already gluten-free because I'm gluten intolerant, and constant, obviously the ginger tea, but mallow root tea, just steeped overnight and just constantly only drinking that. That's the only things that have helped me. I still have some reflux. So I need to take some stuff at night time, but I managed to slowly do the same as Alison. And
Okay.
Well, that's really helpful, Natalie. It sounds like there's some change happening there, really gently, really slowly. Fiona, do you want her to type in the tea and stuff that
Yeah, that would be great.
Is that all right, Natalie?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's have a look. I don't know, Ross, have you been keeping an eye on the chat box? I don't know where we've got to. Okay, I'd like to talk about how going away from home causes relapse, please. Roz Beard, yeah. I've been reading a bit about this actually. And I think, Roz, you look like you've just dropped out of reception. Is she going to come back in? Can you click something in that? Can you hear me, Roz? Unmute yourself if you can. She's not there. I'm going to come back to that question because I think it's a really interesting one and you're not. Oh, you're there. She's there. Roz, I think you know the answer to this already yourself because I was reading that thread with interest because you posted something about it. I think it is the stimulus, the stimulation to the autonomic nervous system that, you know, puts us into a state of stress, which in the past we wouldn't have noticed at all because it's just going somewhere. But, you know, that the level of kind of getting ourselves organized and having to pack and get ready and mentally engage and travel somewhere and be somewhere new and adjust, all of that, in the past, we would never have considered it being a stress. I mean, we can talk about it being stressed. I've got kids to the airport, you know, I know what stress is, right? But it would never have taken an impact on me in the way that it would now. And I think it is part of that we're just, you know, we just have to simply think and remember that our autonomic nervous systems are very, very sensitive now. And so if we are going through an experience which is going to be challenging for us, we will possibly end up finding that we have a little bit more of a response with our symptoms. There are things, so what we have to understand is the power of the mind-body connection here, which is where this really comes into play. This is where the kind of the brain retraining stuff comes in. So if you're noticing, oh, when I go somewhere new and I do something that's a bit stressful, my symptoms come back. There's something around really beginning to notice what is it that's happening in your mind. So the kind of the key principles to the Gupta and the lightning process, which can for some people be really effective, are noticing your thought pattern around stress and around change and around stretch, and just checking in with yourself and going, actually, I don't need to worry about it. Actually, I'm okay. And we go into that self-soothe and that reassurance and that permission to not do a response. Because what you have to remember is that there are days when you feel good, you know, and it's about remembering to tell our body, don't forget we're actually okay. The reality is, the bigger picture is we're okay and we don't need to panic as much. And, you know, it takes practice, and that's why these programs that are out there are brain retraining programs. We can't just do it in, you know, a 10-minute, oh, I'm just going to think differently. It's a practice to notice whenever these things kind of bubble up to the surface that we need to kind of do a bit of work to bring them back down. So if you know you've got a journey planned, notice when you might start to worry about it, you know, and this is an NLP exercise. When do I begin the worry? Do I begin the worry 2 weeks in advance? Am I kind of setting the stage for myself? So start to really understand how much of my brain is involved in already anticipating a relapse. And it is the sort of stuff that you need to work on with people, you know, because actually most people don't have access to that kind of third person perspective on themselves. So, you know, there is a lot of stuff out there to engage in, but just know that, you know, that's the sort of the situation. That's what's happening. We have a super fine sensitized autonomic nervous system, and it will trigger response. But, you know, it was interesting because I know that you put that in the post when you wrote about it in the Facebook group. You said, you know, is it that this is happening because of, you know, the stimulus, the challenge, just the effort of going somewhere new? Yes, that's what's happening, because your brain's gone into panic and it's trying to tell you, do less, because if you're doing all of this isn't going to be good. You know, it's sort of, it's so afraid of you doing anything too much, because we've kind of taught it to be so afraid with the illness, that actually it just goes into, overdrive. Does that help? Oh, Rosie, we can't hear you very well.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you a bit better. Just up your voice a bit, sorry. No.
Very bad day. It's not working, is it?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I was just saying, I've always been like the world's most chilled traveller. You know?
Yeah.
Toothbrush in my pocket, pair of spare knickers in my other pocket, and off I go anywhere in the world.
Nice.
But this time I went to bloody Cheltenham for one night to stay with a nephew who I'm really close to. I didn't even have any anxiety or stress. I wasn't even mildly concerned. But in the last week, I've been iller almost than I've ever been. It's been like the worst relapse ever.
Wow.
Terrible brain fog, nausea, diarrhea, absolute exhaustion. And I'm just really upset by it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to go on holiday with them one day. You know, we have a big plan. My husband's retiring. Our big retirement plan is we're going to go and visit our family in Australia and New Zealand. And I'm now thinking, well, I can't even manage one night away with a 2-hour drive after 16 months. What does the future hold? And I'm not looking for answers. I know that this is the big question. So
I think the next piece of work for you, Ros, is going to be on really understanding that the connection with the brain, the mind body kind of connection, and that brain retraining. Because you might think, well, I wasn't stressed about it, but there was probably, and I'm just guessing here, on some level there was probably a level of anxiety, even if it was just a kind of 5% increase. There's a sensitivity that, you know, your body now has that it didn't have before. Let's put something into the main Facebook group around people who have really tackled this, because I know there's quite a lot of people that have tackled this head on, done some work on it, and seen some massive improvements. And, you know, I think you're ready to sort of look into that world a little bit more, because absolutely you will go to Australia. Absolutely you will get on a flight and manage all of that. You know, don't sit here now thinking, oh God, this is it forever, because it's not. It's just not. I think there's just another piece of work that you're ready to do. Definitely.
If I'm completely honest, being stuck at home is terrible. If I can put my computer up, you can see where I am.
You live somewhere lovely, yeah. I mean, you know, Australia is very hot and kind of, they have fires. Your garden looks nice. In fact, we could all come on holiday in your garden, Rose. That would be, I'd be happy with that.
Which is the other thing, I'm absolutely fine with visitors. I've had visitors, I can entertain visitors, and that doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah,
anyway.
But you're at home, right? You're at home.
Holiday. I've even got a field.
Maybe, Roz, maybe it was just Cheltenham. I mean, who knows? No, I'm joking. If you live in Cheltenham, it's a very nice place. It could never do that to someone. All right, lovely.
But thank you, Suzy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If anybody has done the licensing process, I'd be really interested in having a conversation, because I'm really wary.
Roz, the Rachel Whitfield in the main Facebook group is a big advocate, and she she went for it and really got stuck in and did the program, and now comes to my HIIT classes and my general yoga classes and is out holidaying with her kids. So there's, there is definitely something to explore. Okay. And it's not right for everyone, but I think you sound like you're ready. You sound like that's the next piece of work. Definitely worth exploring.
Thank you. That gives me something to hope in.
Message me after and I'll remind you of her name. All right, I'm just going to type it in here so that everyone can see. Actually, it's Rachel Whitfield, and she really does have a lot to say that's positive about it. There we go.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Okay.
Let's go now.
All right.
Sleep a bit.
All right, lovely. Take care. We'll see you next week. Oh, I just spotted, Elise, your comment. I didn't have a good experience with Nuffield. I did one 20-minute class of cardio and it bored me for a week. Right. The PT who ran it didn't know anything about fatigue or PEM. I mean, this is so. Dr. Boone Lim, the cardiologist that we've done the interviews with, he was approached by Nuffield to see if he would refer patients to them, long COVID patients to them. And he said to me, I asked them, what do you know about long COVID? Have your instructors been trained? Do people know what they're dealing with? Do they know what they're taking on? And they said, no, but we have a rehabilitation program. And he said, I'm not sending you anyone. So he sends people to us now. Because it's that lack of understanding about what you're taking on that scares me with these kind of general programs. It's not okay. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to see if I can find the post. It was in another Facebook group that just happened to pop up on my feed. A guy in the Irish and Scottish gang. Anyway, I was really worried about him. He didn't look good. Ross, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at in the questions.
So yeah, I think you've covered the Nuffield part of things.
Yeah, thank you.
What I do know is that some people have had good experiences. So I guess if you've got a telephone interview this afternoon, ask them, how many people with long COVID have you worked with? What training have your staff had? You're absolutely entitled to ask that. Do your staff know about long COVID and the things that are going to be triggers for us? Do they know about post-exertional malaise? And if they don't touch them with a barge pole. That's my answer. If they do, great.
Can I say something very quickly, Suzy? Because I completed the 12-week Nuffield program, and I started it at the same time as I started your sessions. So I had a very fascinating experience of doing something in parallel.
Right. Wow.
And I was very open and possibly vociferous with Nuffield in terms of feedback on an ongoing basis about the whole way they've structured their program and how it compares to your program and how elements of your program need to be incorporated into their program, for example. So, but what I found was that by setting my own boundaries from the very start and saying what was right for me, you do have the ability to tailor the program.
Yeah.
So you have 12 weeks and you have a one-to-one every one of those 12 weeks. So I just used it as a way of being accountable to myself by checking in with this chap who was the rehabilitation specialist. So I made it work for me. Whereas other people maybe struggled a bit. In terms of the group activity, I really don't think the group activity worked at all in terms of cohesion or whatever. You do 6 weeks online and then 6 weeks face-to-face. On more than 3 or 4 occasions, I was the only person in the face-to-face group sessions. I was the SWAT who actually turned up at the building because people live so far away. So I kept saying to them, I said, you're making this up. This is actually just me, isn't it? So
there are no others.
There are no other people. It's just me. But the first one, yes, it was a cardio session, which was a 40-minute cardio session. And they actually make you switch the cameras off in the session because they're actually recording it. So they don't do what you do. So the rehabilitation specialist was in his dining room with his rattan chairs, but then that's another story. And he wasn't able to correct us or even see us. And one of my friends who was also doing the program started texting me after 3 minutes when we were on the floor already exhausted with the movement. And I still to this day have the voice message of me laughing, because I went into hysterical laughter because I couldn't believe that this person was marching and marching and I was on the floor just completely done after 2 minutes. And I have this glorious voice message of me killing myself laughing with my friend who's killing herself laughing. So when I then gave feedback, I said I wanted to firstly thank them for that was the most I had laughed in a year. But then I also wanted to instantly lodge a complaint at the lunacy of having a cardio program with long COVID as the first way to start it. So that was the start for me of thinking, okay, this is not right. This is not appropriate for long COVID. They didn't know about post-exertional malaise, etc., etc. They'd had very little training, but they were very open to feedback. That particular person was in Plymouth, was open to feedback all along the way. So I did actually make it work and get something out of it. And my body actually responded. And cardio sounds really wild. It wasn't mad exercises, but my body started resetting along the way. But to be fair, all of the progress that I made in that 12 weeks, I firmly believe was actually due to your class rather than his class. One of the key things I think is missing in Nuffield is that the exercises change all the time. You have cardio, you have mobility, and you have strength exercises. I couldn't tell you, I don't even remember what they were because they change all the time. And even in the first session, they had a timer that was on that was going beep, 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 which of course with tinnitus and noise sensitivity was just impossible. So I fed back instantly with that. So it was little points like that that really didn't work. And even in the gym, there was loud music on and I had to get them to turn the music down. So there was that sort of lack of understanding. But in the end, I think, I got something out of it. And I fed back in the highest possible terms in terms of praising your session. Because your sessions have these, as you say, that's what I was going to say, was the exercises, you have the same exercises. If I didn't have you guys on a Tuesday or Thursday, I would instantly do a bridge and I would do my oppositional stretch. I do not remember anything from Nuffield at all. When I said to them, I said, there is no progress because I can't even monitor my progress. I don't even know what's happened to my body. So what I did in the end was I took out the build your own and I replaced the build your own options with yoga. Your yoga was part of my Nuffield program and the meditation that I do was part of my Nuffield program. So my recommendation, if you're going to do Nuffield, is to make it your own, is to do your weekly stuff with your rehab guy or woman. Just tell them what you want to do and make it work with your yoga, pull it all in together. And just let it sort of unfold in that way, and don't do the stuff you don't think works for you. You have to know how your body works, and you do know how your body works. So just stop. Make yourself a cup of tea when they're doing they're doing that. Just stop, and I think then it can potentially work and be an opportunity to just have something that's for you.
That's amazing feedback, Debbie, and really valuable, because I'm hearing that. So I'm reading in the thing here. I'm sorry, I don't know whoever spoke, but I'll come to it in a sec. I see so many people saying, "Oh yeah, I've got an interview, or I've got to talk with them, or I'm, maybe I'm going to do it." It's clearly something that's just being mass rolled out, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That scares me. Jennifer, were you going to say something about
that? Yeah, I was just going to say, because I just had a meeting with the people that devised it with Nuffield. Assad Khan, that's sometimes here, he was very angry about it, and he arranged this meeting and he asked me to go along because I'm a sports massage therapist and I used to work with rehab and stuff, and I was horrified by what I was asked to do as rehab. And the rehab specialists are just PTs. They're not rehab specialists, they're just PTs who've done some training. But my guy was very open, he was lovely. His mum has long COVID, and he said he didn't think it was suitable for her. So that's the PT guy. But he said it was just a series of webinars. They just had to sit and watch webinars. There was nothing practical. And there was nothing about symptoms. It was just about how to motivate people to do it. And they seemed to think they were going to cure you. You know, by the end of it, they would be saying you'll be better. And that's not right. So, but when I spoke to them, because our first week wasn't cardio, it was strength, and we were asked to do a 40-second plank. I said I'd have been very happy to do a 40-second plank when I was well and training for half marathons and stuff, so that's just ridiculous. But when the meeting, they did say they were changing things, they were bringing in mindfulness and stuff. But like Debbie, I would say just if you do it, if you have to really get on with your PT guy, because ours was lovely. I could say I haven't done anything of the Nuffield. I've done the yoga classes I always do. I've walked my dog. That was fine. But other people have got stories of being sort of pushed by the PT and getting told off by them because they hadn't done they've got these on-demand video ones that I never did. One woman was told off for not doing them. And it's like, she said this child of 22 was telling her off. She's a woman in her 60s for not doing her gym homework, basically. So I think you have to watch when you speak to them that you feel you could be comfortable. You can get something out of it. I found, like Debbie said about the routine, it helped me come to this yoga class live. It helped me get up and kind of have more of a routine through the week. And I just did what I wanted to do out of it. I went to the Zoom class, but like we didn't have a beeper and we didn't have to turn our screens off at all, but he couldn't see me. Like you say, there was no, I was on the floor. So I just lay there sometimes. I had a wee rest. I'd done what I needed to do. I'd done enough. So I think it's if you're happy with that approach and just being really wary with what the PT's like, because there's a vast difference. That's one of the feedbacks we gave them. Nobody is getting the same experience with this. Nobody.
Ross, let me just come to you. I know you need to go and you need to go, but I just wanted to say to you, because obviously you've had PT training. Did any of your PT training ever cover this kind of sensitivity to movement and exercise?
Not. It's all about pushing everyone as hard as they can possibly be pushed, and to get results. And unfortunately, it seems like they've just taken that model for the Nuffield and for a lot of these things and just grafted it onto this and said, right, yeah, push yourself as hard as you can. And that sounds terrifying to me, because there's a lot of people like Debbie, like Jennifer, they'll say, no, I'm not going to do all of that. I'm going to just tailor it to myself. But there's a lot of people who will put their complete faith into these people, and they will push themselves, and they will think that is what they need to do to get better. And in reality, they're going to make themselves much worse. So It's really, really sad for me to hear that. But all PTs have different styles and different kind of approaches. But yeah, it depends on, like you say, Jennifer, who you have and what their ethos is, and if they're willing to listen to what's important to you. And that is, like you say, the most important thing, tailoring it to yourself, and do feed it back to them, because the good ones will listen. And I think that's how we get through this, is to share that knowledge and for them hopefully to change. But
the brochure you get is this. This is your workbook. There's no mention of long COVID in it. It's just about rehab.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is really, I think it's aimed at people who have been deconditioned through injury or illness but are now fine and just need to build up some strength. That's what they're doing. And they're also very much keen that you get in the gym, so you can see how wonderful their gym is, and that they will give you a deal to sign up at the end of it. So
beware that upselling of gym membership.
That is very obvious when our guy actually admitted it, that he's been pressured to get us to, but I live too far from the gym. Like,
the whole effort of having to go there in the first place strikes me as being exhausting.
Yeah, I was ill after the first trip, and I said my friend also has long COVID, and she drove, and I was exhausted just being a passenger and just being in the gym and just being in the environment, and it made you you couldn't lie on the floor and not do the exercises because he could see you. And he sort of reverted to more like normal PT guy, like pushing us a bit more. He didn't do that on the Zooms. It was so Yeah, I would be careful, but you can get something out of it, but I would be very careful.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, one really amazing thing, considering what we listened to with you, Suzy, is that not once did he mention the term vagus nerve or parasympathetic nervous system or fight or flight, not anything at all, which was absolutely fascinating. I was trying to tell him what it was. I was sending him links to post-exertion malaise and all the rest of it. So I found myself almost trying to educate.
Well, I think, you know,
so it's very sympathetic. It's very sympathetic nervous system focused. It gets you slightly going, not as much as you imagine cardio and PT stuff, but more than it perhaps should. There's not enough rest in between for breathing, and there's very little speaking at all about the concept of breath, which I think is a major flaw as well.
Well, considering the amount of people with long COVID who have got breathing pattern irregularities post-COVID infection, you know, the fact that breath isn't even part of the discussion seems crazy to me. Anyway, clearly we're all about to go and sign up for the Nuffield program. I mean, I can't wait. It sounds great. I think, you know, what I'm hearing is if you're really great at setting boundaries for yourself and being very good at saying no, and that's not for me and I won't do that, then you'll get something out of it. And, you know, I think that's what they've managed to get themselves the contract, right? To be the kind of fix-all for long COVID. So let's see how that goes. But thank you for sharing this. What I will do is perhaps I might share this one more widely into our group so that people can hear this conversation, because I see more and more and more people being offered the Nuffield program as the solution. And I think people need to go into it with their eyes wide open and just aware of what they're going to be offered. And
on a separate financial point, I believe that they've got NHS funding for this, and I actually believe that your program should be NHS funded, Suzy. I believe your program should be fully NHS funded, and that you can compare yourself to Nuffield in making that case for sure.
Well, I am getting more. I have done a couple of talks to NHS trusts who are slightly in awe of what we've got going on here and the access to information and the interviews with specialists and, you know, the kind of the lived experience of myself and Ross kind of on the journey as well. And so, you know, it's great that people are beginning to kind of find out and talk to us. And I know NHS Oxford Trust have put some of their, and I think some of you might be here, some of their lovely staff who are long COVID into the program. They've got some funding for that. So, you know, I think there's a real desire, but obviously they're also aware that, you know, they have to be doing their job too. And if they just put everyone my way, then I guess that might, I don't know how that works, but there we go. I don't necessarily want 5,000 people in the class. I think we lose something, don't you? I don't know. But, you know, I am keen to let people know that there is an alternative out there that's hopefully, you know, we've kept the price really affordable and upped as many classes into it as we can. It works on a numbers scale, the business model. If there was only 10 of us, we'd be totally screwed. There'd be like one class on the menu. So it works because we have, you know, enough people to be able to pay people that teach the classes. You know, we've got Chloe doing the Pilates, Ross comes in, and me. But there are obviously, you know, there's only so many people that I'm happy teaching in one screen. So it's about the balance, isn't it? But, you know, if you see anyone that's looking for something like a Nuffield program, then recommend us in here, definitely. Because I think the more people that know about that we exist, the better. Because it is about learning that you can't just exercise your way out of this. You can't do it the way you used to do it, you know. And I was boxing with Ross before we both got sick, and about to get into the kind of space where I wanted to go into proper kind of sparring, you know. So I was really I was pushing myself hard and feeling amazing on it. So I remember all of those feelings of no more, let's do more. And actually we needed to unpick all of that before I started to get better. And I think it's the same with everyone else. We actually need to learn another way of being. And, you know, the pushing bit will come back. I push myself now. I'm lifting heavier weights than I've ever lifted before, but it's about doing it in a way that's really congruent with your body, and works with the recovery rather than against it. But gosh, well, who knew we were going to be talking about the Nuffield so much? But what amazing stories and feedback there, because I'm aware that, you know, there's a lot of people being pushed that way now. And yeah, that I'm glad I mentioned that in class, because that guy's post really did concern me yesterday, because he did not look good. Anyway, let me see what we've got. Balance problems. I've fallen over twice recently in slippery mud. Get out of slippery mud. There's my advice there. Let me read the rest of it. And have trouble walking on rocky paths. Ah, okay. Is this a long COVID thing? Sally. Hey, Sal. Finally got a telephone appointment with them. Look, have you?
Yeah, I know, it's really weird. So I went down to Devon last week, came back yesterday, and I've noticed the balance thing for a while, but it's not getting any better, and I'm really unsteady on my feet, and I wasn't like that pre-COVID. But yeah, while I was away, like 2 days ago, I randomly got a phone call saying, you've got a telephone appointment with a long COVID consultant on today, this afternoon.
Great.
I didn't even know I'd been referred. So
I bet they recommend you the Nuffield program, Sally.
Oh God, no, I'm not. No, thank you. But yeah, so the balance thing is worrying me. So I am going to bring it up this afternoon. But I just thought, I don't know whether it's just me or whether it is something that other people have experienced.
Well, let's put it to the group. Who else, has anyone here had balance issues that they didn't have previously that have come into play since being unwell? Anyone? You can just unmute yourselves. We're down to Jenny B. Give us your thoughts there.
Yeah, I have a bit. It's mild, milder than yours, I would say, but it's definitely the case. You know, I feel a bit. I noticed, like, if I was going up some stairs yesterday and I found I leant against the wall because I'd slightly fallen over a little bit. My blood pressure's low, but it's always been low, so I don't think it's that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have an explanation or anything, but yeah, that for me, it's definitely long COVID. It's been since I've sort of broken things by falling over, but it's only very occasional.
Yeah, okay, thank you. My long COVID, COVID was, my ears really played up in the acute phase. So, and I've still got issues with my ears and tinnitus and blocked eustachian tube and thing, which hasn't gone away. So it might be to do with things that are going.
Yeah, that's interesting. I get a lot of ear infections, and I had them badly during COVID. And I'm actually having ear surgery on Monday that I've been awaiting for 2 years for cholesteatoma. So yeah, it could be that, but absolutely, definitely.
I've also had that.
It's COVID related.
Yeah, I think it is. Maybe it's the the same thing we said before, that it's attacked our weaker spots. So like you, I've had cholesteatoma. So maybe the things that we have as our weaknesses, the virus went for, and those of us who have ear problems, that's one of our weaknesses, and that's carrying on.
Interesting. It's definitely worth talking about. Great that you have an appointment this afternoon. Hopefully they'll let you talk in the way that you want to, and ask questions that you want to ask, rather than them just asking those kind of standard questions. Let us know how that goes.
I will do. Yeah, thank you.
All right, lovely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. Is there anything else? I spent 4 weeks COVID-19 rehab in the Norwegian Lung and Heart Association. Relate to everything said here about Nuffield. Yeah, they talked me into trying an interval session, which knocked me out for a week. Gosh, no talk about breathing patterns or ANS. So it's not just in this country, it's in Norway too, and probably in others. Liliane, I think she's gone already, but yes, I think this comes back to that conversation we were having last week about forgiveness. We do need to be aware that people are not trained in how to manage this illness yet. They're not trained because no one's offered them training. So the PTs are just doing their best. They're doing what they think is going to help. They're trying, their intention is to help. What we need to do is absolutely be our own advocates. We need to say, I know what's going to help. I know what's not going to help. And I need you to listen to me, because I've lived with this for long enough to know some stuff. So, you know, we need to be braver around people who are authority, and be our own authority. You know, bring that to the room, bring that to every conversation you have with anyone that's asking you, or, you know, perhaps telling you what you need to be doing to help yourself. And, you know, then we're not missing out on help, but we're also perhaps helping ourselves to get the right kind of help a bit better. And I know it's tough, and when you're tired and you've got brain fog, being the best kind of, you know, advocate for yourself isn't always easy, because actually you'll forget stuff, and you afterwards you go, oh, I can't believe I didn't say. You know, make a list of things. If you know, I do not want this to happen in this conversation, just get really clear before you go in, prep yourself, so that you've got some notes perhaps to look at and remind yourself, oh, remember you need to ask this, because we're not as cognitively sharp as perhaps we were. Not everyone, you know, the brain fog is real for a lot of people. So, so yeah, preparing ourselves to set boundaries and to ask questions, I think will be good. Is there anything else? Just wave your hand. I can see the faces that are on the screen now, but if we're done, it's 12. And I know already for many of you, you'll be tired, you need to eat, you need to rest, you need to stop looking at the screen. Anything pressing before we go? Are we all okay? Aliki, I just saw you at the bottom there. Hi. Aliki was recommended in by my cousin, which is lovely. My family are recommending people in. That's really nice. Welcome in. Well done, folks. Really great class, really great discussion. I'm going to share this one into the main Facebook group so that people can have a listen to our feedback on that, because I think it might just help some people make an informed choice about what they're being offered. Until then, take care of yourselves. I will see you next time. Lots of love, folks. Rest up and enjoy the sunshine. Bye.